Alright, so today we got a 2008 Ford Fusion that has a problem with the brakes where they randomly go to the floor. And you'd be driving along all day long, brakes feel great, no noises, no inkling of a problem. And then you go to take a turn and you go over a rough patch in the road, and of course you're braking in the turn. And the ABS activates momentarily because that wheel is spinning that's going over the rough spot too fast compared to the other ones. And then after that, all of a sudden, your brakes go to the floor and you barely have any brake pedal feel at all. Now this concern is not too common, but it's common enough. You take a quick Google search real quick and you'll see there's complaints all over the web, especially the 2008s, and there's never no resolution either. And even in our own Ford database, there's a bunch of complaints on there, and the first thing all these guys do, either customers or techs, they go in and they throw a master cylinder at it. They say it's bypassing. Well, I don't buy it at all. If you go over a bump and that's the only time it does it, there's obviously another correlation here. We're not shocking the master cylinder enough for the seals in there to lose their sealing capability in the shaft and in the bore. I don't buy it at all. So you gotta start looking elsewhere for lines and stuff like that would get shocked during a turn and harsh braking like that. Actual hoses, or the calipers are loose, something like that. But definitely not a master cylinder getting shocked enough that it just starts bypassing out of nowhere when you've been driving all day long with great pedal feel and not an inkling of a problem. Now the real culprit is the hydraulic control unit, and that's this thing right here, and you can see all the valves on it. It's got inlet and outlet valves on it. It's got a electric pump motor on there. When the ABS module itself takes over the braking, it'll pressurize it that way. And if one of these valves in here sticks, the pressure you apply to this unit from the master cylinder will actually just loop around in here. And it'll just keep going around, and it'll never put that pressure out to your calipers to stop the vehicle, and that's where you get that low pedal from. Now the way it works is the ABS module right here actually slips over all these valves right here into the valve coils that are all built into here, and each wheel has an inlet and an outlet side to it. And if the outlet side gets stuck open instead of holding closed, it'll actually loop around in there. But that's all internal to here and the valve inside the actual bore. So if it gets stuck, your only choice, your only repair option is to actually replace the hydraulic control unit on here. Alright, so I'll try to explain a little bit better with this diagram right here instead of looking at a hydraulic control unit over here externally and wondering what the heck I'm talking about. Okay, so here's your master cylinder like usual. Comes out, your brake pressure, and then it goes into the hydraulic control unit first before it ever sees your caliper down here. So it comes in and then it goes through hydraulic passages inside, and here then the first place it goes is the inlet isolation valve right here, and that's normally open, so your fluid would keep going over to your caliper, and your outlet dump valve is closed, so therefore all your pressure just goes to your calipers like normal. So what's happening in this ABS event that's causing the valve to stick open on this particular car when you make a turn and you actually activate the ABS is you're braking on that turn like usual, right? And then it sees the wheel locking up, so it cuts you off, right? And the ABS pump comes on up here and starts doing its work and starts pressurizing the fluid that's coming in. It'll take it out and it'll pressurize it as needed, and then it opens this dump valve and the fluid goes out to your calipers and modulates the brakes to try to get them to stop from being locked up. Great, ABS event's over, we did it, good job. Now this one should open back up and this one should close. The problem is this one opens back up like it should, but this one over here never closes, or it doesn't close all the way. Therefore, after the ABS event, your fluid comes in, hitting the brakes, they're feeling spongy. It's going through like it should, right? It's going out to your caliper, so you're stopping a little bit, right? But it's also bypassing. And that's where you get that low pedal. And this is also the reason why the brakes don't just go to the floor and you lose everything and no braking. You still have some because the circuit is still complete, but you have accumulators and everything else taking up all the extra fluid as need be instead of a nice firm path for the fluid to actually push the pistons out and clamp down. Now, changing out the hydraulic control unit is pretty simple. You just swap the lines over and then bleed the brakes out. But one important note is you're going to have to bleed the actual control unit itself with the scan tool. And the reason why is because, like I showed on there, there's the usual open path to the wheel cylinders or calipers, and that's all free flowing and good, but there's that backside circuit there that actually is always closed off until you actuate that valve and the pump. So the scan tool does all that for you, and it'll get fluid flowing through there so we don't get no air pockets in there in the brand new hydraulic control unit. Now, like I said, this is usually misdiagnosed as a master cylinder by either the owner, the shop, or even the dealership, and the customer never has any kind of resolution. You got to think what happened just before the pedal got soft. Was there a chance for an ABS event? A wet road, a rough road, an icy road, snowy road, something like that, where an ABS event might have happened, and that's when the valve got stuck, and then you have the low pedal after that. Unfortunately, it seems to be a real common thing on these Fusions of this era, and there's never been a TSB or a recall out or anything like that. And these things, like I said, are around $600 to $700, so it's a very expensive repair. And if you put on an old unit from the junkyard, you most likely will have the same problem immediately or soon thereafter. So you really should get a new unit on there.